Star Wars Unlimited enthusiasts, welcome to another profile. Today we're looking at the new Greef Karga leader from Ash. More importantly, the Greef Karga leader with a red base, or Greef Red. This deck comes courteous of us from the 8th place minor tournament that was held in Switzerland that only had Ash leaders. So I don't know how good this deck will be going into the current larger meta at play, but for this little minor tournament that's only Ash leaders, this took 8th place. And honestly, if I was really thinking about playing Greef Karga with red just feels like the best way to play him. So we're going to go over the leader of the deck and then jump to Carabas for the all-important best 2 out of 3. Greef Karga states on his front side is when you play or create a unit, you may exhaust the leader. If you do, give an advantage token to that unit. A great way to play, create advantage, and then swing with an extra +1 attack, always on your opponent, unless your opponent responds to that extra attack that you will be swinging at them by, of course, attacking into it and then causing the defense trigger of an advantage token to remove the advantage token. But I really like what he can do, the ability to always play a guy out, being able to give it an extra attack when it is played, and just kind of going down this line of being able to play guys and then give them advantage tokens, which is just very nice. He flips on the 6 for 4/7. He's kind of really nice for beefiness as a 4/7. And then just does the exact same thing on his front side, but it's a constant trigger whenever you play or create a unit. You just literally get to give it an advantage token to it. That's just really, really nice. Able to constantly, every unit you play, just constantly create advantage tokens always on them, allowing you to constantly trigger up and being able to get that extra advantage. Where the front side only lets you do it once, the back side is a constant static effect that triggers every single time. It is not a hard once per turn trigger. So for the rest of the deck, we have 2 Canyon Frontrunner with on attack. No other units have attacked this phase, including enemy units. You may give a unit -2/-0 for the phase. Double Charismatic with hidden, and then with defeated, they may disclose a red-white. And if you do, you create a ready spy token. 1 Podameron to deal with Sentinels. This event was won by Salone Blue, which is literally what I would expect. Salone being an extremely powerful leader and an extremely powerful nuisance of a leader as well, with being able to give, when she flips, everything Sentinel and Overwhelm, is just pretty nasty. So there is 1 Poe in here just to deal with that. But again, it's also really nice for us if we run into that Salone matchup in Carabas. It's just a really nice thing. Like I said, we can always put this in the side deck if we don't really feel like Poe's really going to do enough for us for Sentinels. But still, he's a 2-drop 3/3 that can get dropped out on turn 1, and then Karga can give him an advantage token, making him 4/3 on our first swing, which is pretty nice. Triple Sabine Wren with Ambush, and then we do not care about the when played trigger for green and blue, but when you defeat a when played, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade. We don't really care about the ability to defeat any upgrade with the blue and green because we will not have that trigger. But there are chances we could defeat a non-unique upgrade like an advantage, an experience, a shield, Stygian Prime, anything like that that isn't unique. Triple Han Solo for 5/5 ambush, or you can pilot him for 2. And then when played as an upgrade, you may attack with an attached unit. If it's a Millennium Falcon, it deals combat for the Defender. We aren't playing Millennium Falcon in here, so we do not have to worry about that. But it is nice to be able to attach to a vehicle and then swing with that vehicle. We do have some space vehicles to play around with. 1 Rose Tico. As long as you control a non-unique unit, this enters play ready. So even if you have a unique unit out, as long as you control something that is non-unique, you do get to bring her out ready. Triple Sabine Wren. This is the Bean Wren from, of course, Ash. With shielded, and one or more upgrades attached to this unit, including from shield, you may exhaust a ground unit. So basically, this is able to trigger, I believe, twice, because you'll get the when played effect of Sabine when shielded, so resting something. And then if you attach a advantage token, you should be able to get the secondary rest as well. I'm not sure if that is correct, but how reading it, that should be correct. But again, the timing wise of when Greef and when she comes in shielded would matter about when the timing execution would happen. Does she become shielded first and then recognize the advantage token, or is advantage token and shielded happening at the exact same moment in time? That'd be just the question to ask. And then finally, because we have the ability to knock off so many advantage tokens in this deck, we're playing at double 𝐄𝐉. When played, given 3 advantage tokens to another unit, and then when a friendly upgrade is defeated, deal 1 damage to a base. That recognizes every single advantage token. So the 3 advantage tokens that 𝐄𝐉 puts on another unit, when all 3 of those are defeated, meaning that that unit has either attacked or defended, or heck, even that unit just got obliterated off the battlefield, he recognizes all of that. So that is 3 damage to your opponent. So if we can put out 𝐄𝐉 and then pull out more and more guys, especially if Greef is on his backside, we are then capable of knocking off a bunch of advantage tokens, dealing extra little chip damage to our opponent, helping us to get that win just a little bit faster. Again, this deck is very much on that aggressive play style that that you kind of want to do when you're in red. And again, being that we are so heavy with advantage tokens, it makes sense for us to play a couple 𝐄𝐉. For space, we have triple black 1. When this unit is upgraded, it gets +1, and on attack, we do have a chance to trigger this because we do have 1 Poe Dameron. If you control a Poe Dameron as a unit, upgrade, or leader, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. Double emissaries, Stealthopeda. When defeated, each opponent may ready a resource. Triple green leader. When defeated, deal 2 damage to a unit. Expect to see every single red heroic deck to be playing this at 2 to 3 copies. Triple Pegasus Tri-Wing, of when played and may defeat a friendly upgrade. If you do ready this unit, really nice to combo with the 𝐄𝐉. Double Stolen AT Hauler. When defeated, choose an opponent. For this phase, you may play this unit from its owner's discard pile for free. That is not a like a skippable effect. You have to choose an opponent when this dies. So basically, as long as this is on the battlefield, this thing can go back and forth between both us and my opponent, because every time it dies, it has to choose an opponent, and that opponent does get to play it for free. Now, they do get to miss the timing, so if you just happen to miss to play the AT Hauler, it does miss out, and the effect does disappear after that. But as long as you and your opponent constantly kill this thing, it always will have the ability to be played out for free. Triple blue, yellow ace bomber with support and on attack. If this unit is upgraded, deal 2 damage to a base. Really nice to play this down, support someone we just played with Greef 𝐂�𝐘, allowing it to do 2 extra damage to the base, then knocking off, of course, that advantage token, and then using Greef's effects to give this advantage token. This is also really nice to put onto the Han Solo, so Han Solo pilot this bomber, so that way that the on attack trigger is always active on the yellow Ace's bomber, because you're able to constantly be able to do 2 extra damage to your opponent's base. This is very much a mandatory card now, in my opinion, going into odd cost Han decks, just because this is such a really good card, especially if you can put odd cost Han onto him. Triple blue ace with ambush and on attack, ready to exhaust an enemy unit. As a reminder, the on attack trigger is mandatory. Your opponent does get to restand, but if it's on your turn 4 and it's your first swing is ambush and then attack and kill something, or say it's turn 5, you played it, and your first attack is to go with blue ace, then that on attack trigger doesn't really matter. It's always going to matter, especially if your opponent has the initiative and they swung and you have a blue ace out. Do you swing your blue ace, giving your opponent back a restanded guy, or do you wait for your opponent to say take the initiative? Your opponent may try to soft pass with this card out on the battlefield, because they may try to get you to swing with it. But at that point, if they're passing to try to get the blue ace trigger to go off, at that point, just take the initiative and force the game to move on. Or if you already have the initiative, you can just simply do a double pass. And then at that point, the game has recognized that both players have done an action of passing from each other, meaning that at that point, the game resets to the next, goes to the next turn. And finally, triple unsanctioned patrol with support and saboteur. Finally, for our events, we have triple commence the festival. Attack with a unit against saboteur for this attack. If you control fewer resources than your opponent, you get +2 on the attack. Double aggressive negotiations, folks. It's red. What else do you expect? If you're playing in red, you're going to be playing this at 2 to 3 copies. There's no questions asked. Why would you not play this card of on attack with a unit? For this attack, it's +1 for each card in your hand. And finally, double beguile. Look at your opponent's hand, then choose a non-leader unit that opponent controls that costs 6 or less and returns to owner's hand. And then for upgrades, we have triple sudden ferocity with plot, but we also can just play this for 3 on like the yellow ace's bomber to pump it up, or we can put in our resources and then flip it on the Greef turn. So just some nice things we can do with this. Plus, this just gives us more aggression. Why? Again, we're trying to play an aggressive style deck here. Why would you not play sudden ferocity? For our sideboard, we have double jam communication. Look our opponent's hand and discard an event from it. 1 Grogu with hidden in action. Heals the 2 damage from a unit. If you do, deal that much damage to a unit. We can target our opponent's units for Grogu's damage as well, not just our own. 2 Remnants Lookouts. When played, look at your opponent's hand. You may discard a card from it. If you do, they draw a card. If you're a big Sabe fan, this is a good card to consider putting in your deck. 1 Alphabet Squadron U-Wing with Overwhelm, and when the regroup phase starts, give an advantage token to this unit. This is really nice if we do need to push some more damage out there, or say we need to get more aggressive as well. We can easily put this in with the Zeb, and being able to combo this with Zeb is just very, very nasty. Double Commandeer to take control of a non-leader vehicle unit that costs 6 or less without a pilot on it. If you do ready it at the start of your regrouping phase, it returns to owner hand. It's a nice way to kind of disturb some of your opponent's play. So if they play out a vehicle that costs 6 or less, you can go commandeer it, restand it, swing at your opponent's face with it, or at one of your opponent's units, preferably probably at your face. So, and then you would just turn it back to your opponent's hand, meaning that when they play it again, they have to play it rested. So it kind of just disturbs their play. 1 more Rose Tico and 1 Kirsten with Ambush, Overwhelm, and action to start 2 cards from your hand. Return this unit to your hand from play. So just a nice way to get another Ambusher at 7/7 or even at 8/7 because of Greef Karga's effect. So that is the Greef Red deck. Let's jump to Carabats for that all-important best 2 out of 3. All right, folks, here we go. Our game will be against Lando Data Vault. Very interesting choice for a decision, going with a Lando. I'll keep. This isn't actually a very bad hand here. It's actually a pretty nice one. It's very interesting to see Lando on Data Vault. The Lando Calrissian Law leader was being a lot played in the Law meta with Lake Country. You got an extra 1 point of health. Yes, you lost an additional aspect because it was a mono colorless base. So meaning all you really got to play out of it was just, a one-time use ability where you were only playing one color, yellow heroic. But yellow heroic had some very strong cards in it, folks. And I do mean some very strong cards existed under yellow heroic. So it made sense where the Data Vault was coming back. I mean, we saw Boba Fett Data Vault as well, as we have the yellow Ace Bomber triggering its support to have Mina kill. Does he have... No, deciding to go yellow Ace Bomber and attacking the base. Okay, he realized that this attack would trade out, so meaning I don't think he has a way to buff. So I think we're just going to kill the Mina. Well, I'll let my opponent trigger first. So yeah, he kind of told me there on his action that he didn't have anything he could play in response. Like, he couldn't show for Mina to draw. But it is interesting to see someone on a Data Ball version of this instead of Lake Country. When I originally read Lando, when I originally was playing it back in the day, I thought Data Vault was the way Lando was going to play originally. I thought, honestly, that was the way to play Lando. Han, he's just going to attack the base. Interesting. Not going to attack... I mean, you know what? I'm just going to kill his Y-Wing. I'm just going to strip him on units he can play. We're going to go green leader trigger. Yeah, I know that Hauler is dangerous right now, but I have ways to get it. It's a 4/5. It kind of sucks as being a 4/5, but yeah, there's the ace. So he does get to get it back. So we're going to swing... Technically, we can kill it with green leader, go green leader. He did trigger the Lando effect, by the way. I didn't even see that. He has a random aggressive negotiations in this deck. All right. Greef can give that an experience token. Meaning if he plays the Hauler, I just automatically get to kill the Hauler. All right, we're going to pass. He clearly didn't want the Hauler, so we're just going to go put the aggressive negotiations away. This will be a Lando flip turn. We are going to go the Bomber. We're going to execute Greef Karga. Then we will immediately swing with the Ace. And then we'll be able to do 2 damage to the base. And then the Ace does not have the penalty on attack trigger. The Liberty! It's a Liberty at last, everybody. Liberty at last. We're going to resolve adding. We're immediately going to swing at the base. Then we will pass. Skip resourcing, because if he resources one, I have commenced the festivals. Okay, so we immediately are able to use commence the festivals here to get a little bit more punishing to him. And a solo! Oh no! Immediately being able to spin that back. Alright, let me think on what I want to do here. He's at 18. I can get Saboteur +2 because I have one less thing. So if I pump up someone and then am able to hit for a lot of damage, because I can go Han Solo onto the Y-Wing. The Y-Wing can swing, can deal 2 damage to the base. Oh man, I think he might actually somehow get out of this one. Because the most I can get an extra +2. I can do 2 damage here if I attach, swing into the Liberty, knocking damage into it. That will put 2 on the base, putting the 20. I can put this on. Oh shoot, that would restand the Liberty. So I'd have to put Sun and Ferocity under here, putting it to 6, and then give it 2. That put it to 8, 28. No, I wouldn't have enough. There's no way for me to get out of that Liberty. Oh man, and people wonder why, you know, when I did my Qui-Gon Jinn and no one was playing Liberty, I'm like, why aren't people playing Liberty? Probably because, you know, is it not a good card? I still think it's a really strong card. The only other option is we could throw this onto here, knowing that we can get an extra then +2 here. That would put 6, 8 +2 would be 10. That put it to 28. So, I mean, there's just nothing we can really do about it. So we could do this, trigger, swing. We can do another 2 damage there. Technically, we can go blue ace kill. But again, that would then trigger Lando. It would restand Lando. Unless he's going to go kill that off. Interesting. We can immediately trigger ready and exhausted unit, but it's not going to matter. We just immediately kill the Liberty. We have to claim the initiative here because otherwise we die. We could put a Karis away. All right, so unfortunately, we still are dead because I didn't have enough way to actually kill, because this Commence the Festival does not have enough damage to kill Lando. All right, unfortunately, we can go Commence the Festival, hit for oh, he doesn't even matter. I didn't realize he didn't resource. All right, so we're gonna put some Remnant Lookouts in here. I think we're gonna go double. No, I don't think. The problem is his ships are so late into the game. It's literally just like, yeah, he's got like a blue ace we can commandeer. Yeah, that's great. There's really not much all I really want to commandeer. So we're gonna drop a Stealthopede and let's drop a let's drop. No, I like that card. Let's drop a Pegasus. Yeah, let's drop a Pegasus. I think that's what we're gonna do. I guess we could put another Rose. I think we're just gonna go to ready. We're gonna start ourselves. You know, that actually isn't too bad because this actually Black 1, funny enough, will get the trigger because of the Poe Dameron. So we're gonna keep. So we're gonna put these 2 away. We can drop this trigger effect. Give an advantage token. We can claim the initiative. We can put away the unsanctioned patrol. Let's go for Han Solo piloting trigger, swing for 6. This will be able to get an additional attack each turn now. So we're getting a little more on the aggressive side here. We can drop Poe Dameron next turn as well, allowing us to, of course, give Black 1 its ability. An Ascension Cable. Where is my non-unique, by the way? So the only thing this gives is Saboteur. So that's all it really does. We'll be able to play a couple of 2s here. I mean, we might as well just put a Black 1 away. Let's swing. Interesting. All right. We're going to go for Poe Dameron. Trigger to give Poe Dameron. This Mina is probably just going to kill Poe. Yep. Green leader. Pass. This is a win played effect as well. So funny enough, we could just go place a bead and immediately knock off that ascension cable. Kind of funny. All right. This is probably going to tap itself to give the Mina a +2 on the attack. Interesting. 2 extra damage there. We can play this. Greef, trigger, when played skill, trigger, and then there will be no ambush. Only if we had a Poe we could knock that off, but even at that point it would just be a burnt attack because technically off the rules state. So he's going to just create the credit. We're just going to have to smash that. If we had the Poe out, we could have dealt the 1 extra damage there, knocking it out and allowing us to, you know, go from there. We can put a blue ace away. But, I don't know. Alright. Swing. Right now, my greatest fear is the Liberty, because this is the turn he's going to flip. We do... Well, no, Beguile doesn't even work on Liberty. We'll swing. My greatest fear, like I said, is does he go for... We'll deploy Greef, trigger, plot. Yep, there it is. Yep, he just takes that. We'd have to be at 8. I mean, this is doing nothing for me right now because Liberty's just going to swing at base. That's going to melee rest that down. Let's go Zeb. Give Zeb an advantage token. Let's give Greef all 3 advantage tokens. Qui-Gon into Greef. That will be 3 damage at his base as well. We'll put on top all 3. Resolve all 3 to go on to base. Claim the initiative. There's just no way I can out this Liberty. By the way, this is a 60 card deck and my friend has seen the Liberty twice, by the way. He's seen the Liberty twice. So annoying. We can then play Rose. Rose does come in standing, but it does not going to matter. Well, folks, Lando Data Vault, Lando Law Data Vault did beat us in the face there, but what did you expect? Liberty is still just an amazing card. My opponent saw it both games in a 60 card deck. Don't ask me how they did it, but they did. Sometimes, you know, in my 60 card decks, I don't find the cards I want at all. But my opponent, they find it all the time. But even though we lost, I like what this deck can do. Do I think this deck is going to be meta in this format? By no means, no. I think he's just too slow for what he does. And he can be out-tempoed by, I think, a lot of the decks in this format. Cad, Ash, Luke, JTL, Lando, Law. I think a lot of the decks that we are expecting to see from the Law format move into the Ash format, and decks we're expecting to see in the Ash format are just going to be a lot better than this deck. I did see in this Switzerland minor tournament, there was a Greef Data Vault deck that won. I think it placed 4th or so. Still, that's pretty neat, you know. People are trying out with Red and Data Vault. Like I said, my opinion is I thought Red was just a better coloration. But nonetheless, I still think this deck is quite fun. Now, I think maybe that this deck is more tailored for like a meta that is more concentrated on Ash leaders than tailored for, you know, the standard meta. But as just a blueprint of where you can go with this deck, I think it's a really good blueprint for what we can do, what we should expect for people playing Greef Red. I don't think he's meta, but I think he's a lot of fun for what he can do. And I think if you can just get him right, I think you can abuse and punish your opponent. We had some very good games, folks. I mean, we literally had him at a few times where we were pushing for a good amount of damage. It was literally just the Liberty that ruined us. So, I mean, without that card, we probably would have been able to punish him and end the game on our terms. But I mean, say la vie, what are you gonna do about it? It's the Liberty. It's just a very powerful, heroic card. Heck, maybe even this deck can maybe even like jam a couple copies into it and just see what you can do with it. Especially a Liberty that could come out and swing for 10 damage, by the way, because of Greef's giving it a Vantage token, which would be pretty nasty. But nonetheless, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the deck and the gameplay. And while you guys are commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you know if my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Modern Dragons TCG.